Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Trek CarBack bike rear radar. Just a few years ago, Garmin had the entire bike radar market to themselves with their ubiquitous Varia models. That's rapidly changed as Magene, Bryton, Magicshine, and even Cyc Plus have entered the market with their own radar systems. The new Trek CarBack is one of the latest bike radars to hit the market and offers a couple unique features. In terms of packaging, you can see very simple. You have the Trek branding, just white on black. A little representation of the radar, specs printed on the side, back, and the bottom as well. It has this cool opening design, which I've kind of ruined by pulling the tab off, but you can see it has a nice little graphic of how the radar works, and then an illustration of the actual cutout that shows you the radar. I'll go ahead and take this out of the box and go over the specs. So retail price on this is $199.99. It's on par with the Garmin pricing. It has a 240 lumen taillight, so quite bright. Very similar to the Flare RT. What's cool about this radar is it has a very long distance for detection range, 240 meters, which is nearly double that a lot of other ones on the market. It can detect up to 7 vehicles at a time. And it also has a fairly narrow range of about 7 degrees. So more focused to what's just behind you. You have the Trek Quick Mount, which is one of their ubiquitous mount designs shared with the Flare and the other accessories, so you can reuse a lot of those accessories, such as the saddle mount. You have a nice 4-bar LED battery gauge, so you don't have to guess how much battery you have. You have a nice little LED indicator on the side. And it's also USB Type-C, so unlike the Garmin, which still uses micro USB, this has a modern interface that's easy to charge with existing cables. In terms of what you get, obviously you get the mount, you get the radar unit itself, a USB Type-C to standard USB cable for charging. Then you also have the instruction manual hidden behind this little cardboard holder that shows you how to set it up and pair it with other devices. Now let's take a look at the weight of the radar. So the radar by itself comes in at 84 grams. The little quick connect seatpost mount is only 14. While Trek may be a little late to the bike radar market, they've really named the branding with the CarBack product. It's exactly what you yell out when you detect a car behind you and you have cyclists in front of you. So really well named. They've also given the taillight a unique shape to sort of stand out. So rather than having a long elongated shape, it's almost more of a square shape. So you can see a lot wider, pretty thick, and then you can see just a big black glossy surface. It's a great magnet for dust. So very similar to the piano trim you see on modern cars. Gives a nice appearance though, and you have a beveled edge to break up the otherwise flat surface. Branding here is really limited, just have Trek, and then CarBack printed on top. The user interface on this is really simple too. You have a button on top, so it's pretty big. It's a nice big surface with a little rubber, a little ridge on here that makes it easy to feel. You hold it to turn it on, single press to cycle through modes, long press to turn it off. You have the battery gauge on the side, which is really cool. So a single press will show a 4 LED indicator. You can see we only have 2 LEDs here. So you have multiple statuses here, and it makes it a lot easier to guess how much battery status you have. On the bottom, you have the USB Type-C charging port and a nice little rubber cover. You can see it's hinged on the bottom. And then you have this little cutout here where you can slide a fingernail in and then pull back. And otherwise, very simple. You can see it's pretty thick though, 70 by 50 by 25. So it's a little bit bulkier than other ones, which kind of hide their size by just making them taller. In terms of the mounting design, you can see it's molded directly into the base. This is their standard tab design. So you can see it just has this little square shape. You slide it on, and then it will click into place. To remove it, you have to push down on the tab, and then slide it off. It's a pretty common mount, and you can even use the aftermarket Blendr saddle rail option or use the included seatpost one. You can see this is also rotatable, which is kind of cool. So you can rotate around to accommodate different setups. And then you can see it has a very simple rubber design, so it should handle a wide variety of seatposts. And they also offer, again, the Blendr option, so you can use aftermarket accessories. You can see on the body on this, you just have that single button. So again, just a long hold, turns it on. When it's off, you can do that single press, which is really cool. So if you just want to check your battery before you start riding, you can check that. And if you see that it's low, you can recharge it. The claimed battery time here is 7 hours, regardless of which mode you're on, and obviously that depends on the traffic. So if you have a lot of traffic, it might be lower. And if you're somewhere really quiet, it might be even longer in some of the other modes. There are only 4 modes here, which is pretty nice. So you just have 2 steady options, a nighttime and a daytime. Then you have flash modes. So you have a really bright daytime flash, and then a nighttime flash, which you'll notice is just a simple low to high. So a lot less jarring and great for riding in groups. You can see the taillight design is also very simple. It really just looks like a Bontrager Flare RT that's inset inside it. So you can see it's actually cut inward a little bit. No side visibility, which is a big downside. So you can see with it on, you really only can see the battery status gauge. And on the other side, you don't see anything. It's a standard cone-shaped beam. And if you look closely, you can see it's a single LED. And they've actually put little dimples on the lens cover to help disperse the beam. So when this is on, you can see nice and wide. And then as you go further away, you can see the beam shape. So pretty visible from longer distances, and it's quite bright, especially when you look directly at it. They've kept it very simple too, again, so just 4 modes. No ambient light sensor, no brake sensor, other additional features. You should be able to pair this with most light control systems, so you can have your computer automatically turn this on and off, and it should show up both as a light and a radar. The radar has 4 basic output modes. You have 2 steady modes, a 25 lumen daytime mode, and then a 5 lumen nighttime mode. There's also 2 flash modes. You have a daytime flash, which is 90 lumens and has great visibility. Then you have a nighttime flash, which is 5 lumens, goes from a low mode to a slightly brighter mode, which is great for a group ride. As with the Flare RT, which is based off, the taillight has a nice focused LED, which is visible from really long distances away. So it's great if you're riding on high traffic roads, as you'll always be visible. You'll notice that the flash mode actually doesn't change in traffic either. It's always the same mode, which is kind of an odd thing. A lot of the Garmins and competitors will switch to a slightly different temporary mode to ensure you're visible, which is something they didn't do here. Also, there's no side visibility with this radar, which seems like another big oversight. The LED is inset into the body, and you have no transparent windows like you have with the Flare RT. So you can see once you go from a side angle, you can't really see the light except for the battery gauge, which is only visible from some angles. It would have been nice if there was a side marker. We also don't really like the mount here. You can see on our standard round seat post, it has a lot of play to it, and it's really flexible. It's almost at the maximum location too, so you really have to stretch it out. It would have been nice if this had a dial system or something more secure. You can rotate this as it's shared with a lot of other products within the Trek lineup, but you probably want to keep it vertical. As you can see here, we have a nice rear-facing camera on the right side, and then a little cutaway on the left side that shows you the head unit and then the car detections. So you can see right out of the box, the CarBack works great. You don't really have to wait for software updates to fix glitches or bugs like you do with the normal new kind of competitor radars like we have with the Bryton and Magicshine. A lot of those work great, but they had false positives and little issues with traffic. But with this one, Trek has obviously done a lot of the testing. They're a much bigger company, so it's much more solid product right out of the box, and you don't have to really worry about it. You can see here, you can detect up to 7 cars at a time, so it depends really on the angle of the road, size of the car. And one of the unique things about this is the radar detection zone. It's a little bit more narrow than other radars on the market. Some of those will detect a much wider area, which is designed to detect a car coming behind you around a corner, but it can also mean it'll detect cars when you're on a bike trail parallel to the road, and it'll make it look like it's behind you when it really isn't. So I like the more tight kind of angle to it, but the 240 meter claim distance is really hard to reproduce. We weren't able to reproduce that with the app, but it seems like on some roads, sometimes it does do it. So here you can see a car much further away, and even before you can hear it, the radar does pick it up. So it does feel like it has long detection range, but it's just not consistent. And it was really hard to quantify on camera with our setup. So instead you can just kind of see sometimes it does detect it from further away. But otherwise the performance is on par with Garmin. So quick detection, multiple car detection, and again, a little bit tighter of a range, so you get less false cars behind you when you're on trails or parallel to the road. But otherwise, we're impressed with the performance, works well. And the only big oversight here is the lack of the side visibility and the fact that the radar pattern doesn't change when it detects a car. Instead, you'll just get the alerts on your computer and you'll know the car's back there, but the actual pattern doesn't change. Now let's take a look at the Trek app. They have an app called Trek Accessories, which is exclusively for the CarBack radar currently. So you want to hit the get started. That has its great animations. Obviously, Trek being a larger company, they have a lot of resources. So turn this on. You can see it found it. Now it's setting it up. And then you can see that's about it. So very simple setup. There really aren't many options. You can set up the units, sound alerts, and that's about it. And this will let you just see the radar directly on your phone. So if you don't have a GPS computer, you can still use the radar feature. You can see it has up to 500 feet here. But again, we've rarely seen it go that high. Now let's do a little comparison between the CarBack and other radars on the market. We actually have two of the big competitors, the Bryton Guardia, as well as the Magicshine / Magene Seemee 508. So you can see the form factors are quite different. The CarBack is bulkier and a lot shorter and wider. So you can see they've really gone with a little bit different form factor. The downside to the CarBack design is that inset taillight. It's pretty big oversight. It would have been nice if they had a little extended lens like you see with other models. So when these are on, you can actually see it from different angles, which is really nice. You can also see with this, you have multiple indicators and then a longer surface that's easier to hide behind your computer. With the Bryton, it actually comes with the Bryton mount instead of the standard Garmin mount, which is one downside. So you do need a specific mount, but you can see very simple quarter turn design rather than the slide on design. There also is the Magene / Magicshine. So this is a Seemee 508 with the Magicshine notation. And again, you can see very similar shape as the Bryton. It's kind of long, skinny. It's a little bit thinner. And then the nice thing about this is, again, you have a big exposed lens. So when this is turned on, you'll be able to see it from higher angles because the lens actually reflects. So again, one big downside of this. But the nice thing about the Trek is they've actually included the battery status gauge, which is something neither of these have. And they just have a low light indicator. With this one, you can press it and you get a pretty good indication of the battery status. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Trek CarBack. What we like about it is you have a battery status gauge. So you can actually see the battery status rather than just having a low status indicator. You also have great long distance visibility with a focused LED. So it shares a lot in common with the Flare RT and ensures you're visible during the day or night. You also have reliable detection on multiple vehicles right out of the box. So the software is all really dialed in, even though this is just new to the market. Some of the negatives to this radar is the fact that it does lack side visibility. It's a big oversight from Trek. They didn't add a transparent window or side markers like you see with Garmin and other competitors. Also, the mount is pretty flimsy. So especially on a round seatpost, it just feels like it's not tight enough and can tend to move around unless you really pull it all the way down to the last peg. Also, the 240 meter long range detection, which Trek touts with this, and it's much longer than other radars, can be really hit or miss. We weren't able to verify that, but it does feel like sometimes on the right road with the right sized vehicle, it does detect it from quite a distance away. Taking everything into account, would give the radar an 8.2. It's well built, but really just feels like it misses the mark. It's priced as much as a Garmin or a little bit more now that they've reduced their price, but lacks the features like the side visibility, a nice mount, and it doesn't even change pattern when it detects a car. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.